Welcome to Friday. It is the 22nd day of December, 2023. Your Day Weather Podcast is being brought to you by Hot Springs County Travel and Tourism, reminding you that as temperatures get cold and snow falls at Thermopolis, you can always find yourself in hot water. Well, there's a nice shot of the moon during the solstice. That's right, that occurred, I think, just after 10 p.m., somewhere around that time frame last night, Mountain Time. Now the days are going to very slowly get a little bit longer. Well, the headline really sums it up. A very messy merger of these two weather systems is going to be dominating the weather forecast as we head into the weekend and into early next week. Not only here in the West, but a lot of the central United States as well. And that's going to lead to some travel impacts, and we'll talk about it. All week, you know that we've been struggling with this situation, and we still are. Here we are on Friday, and we're still struggling with it. It's just a lot of moving parts, so many moving parts to this pattern that it's just very difficult to get a handle on. But it will be another very mild day again today. Pacific air flooding the region means mild temperatures across the Intermountain West, although for the southwestern United States and still into southern California areas, it'll still be rainy. Snow and rain expands across the western United States west of the Continental Divide during the day tomorrow and in the desert southwest and also into the Pacific Northwest. Then, as colder air overspreads the region, areas of light snow, mostly light snow, will be developing overnight Saturday into early Christmas Eve Sunday. As I mentioned, our confidence remains rock bottom. What it does appear as though is going to be happening is that this system is not going to be able to get itself organized quickly enough to become, in this region at least, a big storm. Rather, a stretched out system that's disorganized, that's got enough in it to certainly bring travel impacts. And for some of you, and I think a fair amount of you, a white Christmas, at least having some snow on the ground. The storm gets better organized as it goes to our east. But even then, it's not a very easy scenario, as the system, once it gets east of the divide, is still going to have some troubles getting organized. Nonetheless, travel concerns will be with us if you're traveling or planning on traveling Saturday night into the day on Sunday. You're going to find some icy roads and highways as temperatures will be much colder, and there's going to be enough snow to make things icy in some areas, especially over near the mountains, the mountain passes, the high elevations of Interstate 80 and I-70 in particular. The satellite imagery this morning shows us our two culprits, our two guys here that are really causing us the headaches trying to get this forecast. Here's Southern California's low. They have picked up a ton of rain, a lot of rain, in Southern California over the last 48 hours. California all week has just gone down the coast, bringing very heavy rain to the coastal areas, although for skiers, it really has been a storm that has stayed just far enough west that we haven't seen any really big snows in the Sierras. But certainly the coastal areas of California picking up some big rain. So you can see the moisture with it is very good. Some mid and high level moisture is getting pushed out ahead of it. This system is going to head northeast. Here's our system up here. This is causing us the biggest headaches. This is the system right here, which is basically scheduled to split into one piece going this way, the other piece coming in like this, and these two merging as we've been talking about all week. And here we go, seeing it on the 500 millibar chart as we look at where we are early this morning with it. So as we go forward into Saturday morning, this is what we're looking at. The storms get stretched apart a bit. The low out of Southern California is heading into Arizona, the Four Corners area, bringing a good slug of moisture with it, while this system is bringing in a good slug of much colder air out of northwestern areas of Canada. But this system in the northern areas here is getting stretched. So you can see this right here. It's getting stretched. So a piece of it stays in Canada. Another piece of it heads down towards Utah and Colorado. So there's system number one. System number two, and as we've shown you over the last couple of days with these arrows, these two systems are on a collision course to try to come together. But what it looks like is going to happen, it's going to come together but a little bit further east, and instead of a nice tight circle, more of an elongated flow. So the upslope is not going to be as good with this system, as it's just not going to be able to get itself organized. Also, complicating things a little bit is the fact that there's going to be a little bit of drier air between these two systems get pushed together. So when we take a look at the different modeling, as we've shown you all week, you can still see that things are starting to look more similar, but there are still some big differences, and this is where the confidence remains very low. So the European model has 2 lows by Christmas Eve morning. This is by Sunday morning. So underneath this trough, much colder air is going to come in. And this system coming in from the northwest will be spreading light snows from the northwest to the southeast, while moisture from this system up here will collide with that. And that's what's going to be producing snow in the Colorado high country, snow in Wyoming's mountains, and scattered areas of snow on the plains. This is the Canadian, more organized and more towards the Four Corners area. The Canadian model has been very consistent all week, but there's a big difference right here. Better upslope with the Canadian model, if that ends up being correct. Not as good upslope with the European than the GFS model, which has been all over the place all week. Well, that one now is kind of a hybrid between the European, the Canadian, and kind of an averaging out of the system, but we don't have that good circular flow. We just don't have it organizing itself very well as it gets to the lee of the Rockies. So what ends up happening is it becomes a shorter event and the snowfall becomes a lighter event instead of it getting organized and we getting that good upslope. The Gulf of Mexico is open, but you're not going to be able to bring that moisture all the way back to the west unless it gets organized. With the Gulf open, though, it is going to get really wet in the central parts of the United States, as we'll show you here in a minute. So here's, using the Canadian model, the forecast through Christmas Day. So through Christmas Day, the moisture that is right here is the moisture coming in from the storm out of British Columbia. The moisture right here is basically coming from the storm system out of Southern California and Arizona. And then here's that Gulf of Mexico moisture getting pulled up through Texas, Oklahoma, Kansas, into the Corn Belt areas there, where it's going to be a cold rain out ahead of this system. Snowfall-wise, this is what it looks like. Again, don't take the numbers you see on this map for gospel truth. This basically shows you where the snow is likely to fall over the next few days, most of it coming late Saturday through Christmas Eve Sunday, and then the system pulls off to the east. So look where you are on the map. That's what generally you're going to be looking at in terms of the best chances of snow. Travel concerns, certainly along Interstate 80, along 70, maybe sections of I-25 as well as the mountain passes. Taking a look at the larger picture for Christmas, between now and Christmas Day, you can see the rain, the very wet conditions developing out ahead of this low right here. On the backside is where the cold air and the snow is going to be, and this will translate eastward over time. So from a national perspective, this is where areas have a chance of having snowfall either on Christmas Eve or into Christmas Day across the United States. But let's go forward a little bit. For those of you who are going to be traveling, especially east, after Christmas Day, between late Christmas Day and next Friday, this system could translate eastward, producing snow in these areas. So we're talking about maybe some winter weather through Chicago, parts of the Midwest, maybe into the Great Lakes, parts of New England as well. So on the back end of the holiday travel period, late next week, towards next weekend, this is a potential travel headache for airports, something to look out for if traveling. Rainy down here in the south as well. What happens really after Christmas out west here is a big question mark, as the models past day 5 are just absolutely worthless. Have yourself a good weekend and have yourself a very Merry Christmas.